What's up everybody, Bandit here. So when the third generation Tacoma came out here in 2016, the TRD off-road like I have here was the pinnacle of off-road capability and off-road technology in these new trucks. You know, we had the crawl control, we have the locking differential, we also have Bilstein shocks in all four corners. However, in 2017, something else happened. The TRD Pro came out. So there are quite a few differences of this TRD Pro here that make it different from the 2016 TRD Off-Road that do help justify that price tag. So looking here at the front of the new TRD Pro, a theme that you'll see carried throughout the entire truck is kind of the Blackout theme and kind of the tougher look over the TRD Off-Road. The first thing that alludes to that is the black headlight bezels. It does give it a lot tougher look, as well as the big black grille. You got to remember that I did put an aftermarket grille on my truck, but normally these are kind of a two shade of chrome. Also, we'll move down here to the fog lights, and these are from Rigid Industries. So there's two LEDs here in the bottom. The top is like a vent type thing, but it's definitely a large improvement over just the standard bulbs for the normal truck fog lights there. Also, looking under here, we have the new aluminum skid plate that does have the TRD markings on it, and that's a good improvement over the steel skid plate on the TRD Off-Road. So looking here in the Fender Wells of the TRD Pro, this is where a lot of your money's going. So what you're seeing is a Fox internal bypass shock that is specifically tuned by TRD. So they're claiming that this coilover setup is different than something that you could just buy off the shelf from Fox. And not only does it have a sweet look to it, it also provides a really nice ride for that high-speed off-roading. So looking here at the wheels of the new TRD Pro, these are a 16-inch wheel as opposed to the 17-inch wheel found on the TRD Pro 4Runner, and it is an all-new design here for 2017. Also, normally you would find the Goodyear Wranglers as you would on a TRD Off-Road here on the TRD Pro. However, the owner did just upgrade to a brand new KO2, and I think that also really enhances the look and the capability of the truck as well. Now, moving back here to the taillight, it is a clear lens on the TRD Pro taillight with a black bezel inside. You'll also find a clear taillight lens on the limited Tacomas as opposed to the red lens as on a TRD Sport or TRD Off-Road. So here on this particular TRD Pro, the owner did elect to order the Toyota factory side steps. He says that really improves the ease of entry on these trucks. Also, all TRD Pros are fitted with the optional TRD exhaust that you can get from the Toyota parts department. So looking here at the seats of the new TRD Pro, these are a large improvement over the TRD Off-Road. So what you're looking at here is a full leather seat with a textured leather center, and it also has the TRD Pro logo here embroidered in the headrest. These are fully heated, as they are in my truck, because I do have the technology package, and you also have some other small changes here with the shift knob and everything else. Another option that they added here for the 2017 trucks is the addition of the sliding rear window. So in mine, you have to reach behind you and slide it one way or the other to open it. Here you just simply flick the switch and it opens, flick the switch the opposite direction and it closes. A really nice feature here for 2017. So behind the wheel here of the TRD Pro, this is Alex, the owner of the truck. He was kind enough to bring it up here from North Carolina and let us go for a spin in it real quick, but it feels very similar to the rest of the Tacoma lineup. You know, just here at low speeds, the shocks aren't working too hard or anything else. It does have a really smooth ride, and you might be noticing it is a little bit dark in here. That's because he does have the 5% window tint on here, because he doesn't live in Virginia. He can get away with that kind of stuff. But yeah, it sounds really, really good. It's not an overbearing exhaust. It's not anything too loud. You know, we're looking here at 1500 RPMs. Nothing too crazy, but you know, just a slight little rumble. It's not anything real annoying or anything like that. But this truck, like all the rest of the trucks, does have a really substantial feel going down the road. You know, it doesn't feel like a light, small truck it feels like a much bigger, heavier truck. It feels really planted on the road and everything else. These leather seats do have a really good feel. I believe they are about the same shape and everything else as the TRD trucks, but the leather feels really nice and supple, and they are really comfortable seats. Another thing that I just cannot get over here in this truck, and obviously a lot of the 2017 trucks have it, is the sliding rear window. That is just an awesome feature. I would love to have that in my truck, but you know, that's just one of those things that you have to live with when you buy the first model year of the truck. You know, the 2016s don't have it. The 2017s, it is a new option for, and it looks like everyone is really enjoying that feature, and they should stick around for quite a while. So Alex and I were just talking about kind of how the packaging and everything like that works. So he did have a TRD Sport before this truck, and he had the technology package in that, just like I did in mine. However, when you move up to the TRD Pro, the technology package, or what comes with the technology package, is more or less standard. So you know, you do have the blind spot monitoring in the mirrors. You do have a couple of the other small options, like the dual zone climate control and the heated seats, that make the truck a good bit more livable, at least in the colder climates. And I think that's a really nice thing, because you know, a lot of the more standard TRD trucks, like the TRD Sport and TRD Off-Road, do get priced right around $35,000. This one is substantially more, at closer to $45,000. But you got to remember, this is a very, very limited edition truck. They're not being mass produced quite as much as the TRD Sport and TRD Off-Road. And when you see one of these going down the street, you automatically know what it is. You know, it just has a presence to it that's more than just the sum of its parts. You know, if you would get a TRD Sport or even an SR5 and add Fox shocks and add the grill and add some other stuff, you're never going to quite end up with what this is. You know, the seats make it special, the vinyl decal on the hood, and you know, just the overall presence of the truck does really help it out and give it a tougher look going down the road. Going here at a little bit higher speeds, the shocks just feel really, really planted. You know, I've driven pretty much all of the other different trim levels of the Tacoma. This one does have a really, really nice planted feel, and it actually reminds me a lot of my old 2005 TRD Sport that I had. I had Fox shocks on that. It has a very, very similar feel. These shocks are just a really, really substantial. You know, going down the road, when you hit a bump, you feel it, but it doesn't upset the truck. Even at a little bit higher speeds, it has a really nice feel to it. So here, as we're going up this hill, I'm not sure if you can hear the exhaust real well, but we're kissing 4,000 RPMs, and it actually has a very similar sound to it as just a standard exhaust on one of these new Tacomas. We were both just talking, we think that's kind of interesting. You know, why would you have kind of this deeper, throatier sound at low RPMs, and then why would they have engineered it to have basically no different tone at the higher RPM? So we think that's kind of interesting. But you know, just going down here, we're going between 60 and 65 miles per hour, and it feels super, super smooth, a lot smoother than my TRD Off-Road, even with these rougher tires. You know, the KO2s do ride a lot nicer, but they are a substantially more aggressive tire, and you know, that will lead to a little bit rougher ride, but the rubber compound on these is really great. It does provide really nice traction even in wet or dry conditions, and you know, it just feels like a really nice truck. But we touched on it earlier, but this truck is something special. You know, they don't make quite as many of these as they do as the TRD Sport or TRD Off-Roads, and they are limited production. You can only get them spec'd out in a few different configurations. You know, this truck doesn't have a sunroof. I don't think any of them do. Correct me if I'm wrong here in the comments, but you can also only get these trucks in 3 different colors. You can get them in super white, cement, or this Barcelona red. Personally, I'm a huge fan of the Barcelona red. I think with all the other black and red accents on the truck, this just really sets it apart. But a lot of people are going with the cement right now, because that is the only way to get that color, you know, kind of a matte gray cement color that it is, and a lot of people are really liking that. And then the super white is just the standard white that you can get on just about any other Tacoma that's out right now, and that also has a really good look to it. But you know, with the second generation TRD Pros and even the TX Pro that came before that, you're also a little bit limited on your colors. For example, the second generation TRD Pro was available in Inferno, the white, black, and quicksand, I do believe, and that's where we first started seeing that color. But they took away quicksand and Inferno here from these trucks and added that just to the standard lineup, then changed around a little bit of the configuration here on the TRD Pro. But overall, I'm really impressed with this truck. You know, coming into it, we were just talking about this as well. It's kind of funny, but I wasn't really expecting this to be what it is. You know, I was just kind of expecting it to be kind of a dressed up TRD Sport or TRD Off-Road. You know, not really that big of a difference, just dressed up enough for Toyota to call it kind of a special edition and charge you a good bit more for it. But after driving it around here, I can definitely see why a lot of people are so interested in this truck. Like I said, it does have a really substantial feel to it, and it is still livable. The only thing that you really sacrifice by going with this is the towing capability. You know, my truck is around 6,500 pounds. This truck doesn't really get anywhere close to that because of those Fox shocks. You know, they just can't withstand the towing and payload that you could get just on a normal Tacoma. But overall, if you don't plan on towing or hauling and you just want a truck that's fun, this is fun. You know, this is by far the most fun Tacoma that I've ever been behind the wheel of. These trucks are available in a manual transmission. I would really love to drive one of those just to feel all the differences in that. But if you have the fun sitting around and you want a truck that is fun and you can go on all kinds of adventures with, I think this could be the truck for you. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Could you justify buying one of these trucks, or are you okay with just your standard SR5 or your TRD Off-Road, or what trim level do you feel suits you the best? I'd really be interested in hearing that. If you have any other cool vehicles that you'd like for me to review, please leave that in the comments below as well. You know, I love seeing all kinds of different trucks here, and I'd love to see yours as well. So thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, everybody. We'll catch you next time.